Okay, so welcome back. And so in this next video, what I'm going to be doing is installing the IPFire sort of router operating system into the Proxmox VE sort of virtual machine server that I just set up. And so if you want to just see, it doesn't really use that many commands, but if you want to see some basic instructions, you can go to our website, macpczone.co.uk, go to applications used, and then if you then go to where it says installing the IPFire router OS, and so all I'm going to be really doing is just going to back into Proxmox, and so then just logging in with okay, looks like I'll have to look into this, because when I was doing it before, it seemed to work, but not certain why it's still popping up. Well, anyway, I'll worry about that some other time. Let's see if I can work out why before, when I was connecting, it didn't seem to the said command seemed to work, but for some reason now it isn't. So I'm not sure why that is. Okay, looks like more work needs to be done. But anyway, let's carry on. Right, so basically, so what we want to do now is to install IPFire. And so to do that, if I go back to the local drive where the ISOs are stored, and then just go to content, and so what I want to do is upload an IPFire ISO, and so I was just going to say, you can actually, to get hold of that, if you just go to IPFire.org, and basically just on this page, just go to download, and then you can choose which one to download. And I just chose this one, the 64-bit ISO image, and so then that's the same one that I'm just going to be uploading. Right, so that's the IPFire uploaded. So now to get that running, so we go back to the main Proxmox machine, and then just do create virtual machine. And so then we can just choose that ISO image. And just use standard VGA. Don't need the agent, and just leave that normal hard disk. And you don't really need that much space on this, because IPFire isn't really that big. And don't really need that many cores or sockets for it, because it's quite light. But because it's a full OS, you might as well at least give it a little bit of memory. And actually, this is one thing I got is yeah, I forgot to do that. So basically the other thing you have to do is because this is a sort of router operating system, any router operating system that you install, you're going to need at least 2 network interfaces. So when we go to the network, you'll notice that the standard one is just like a sort of virtual machine bridge interface, which just connects to the normal network. But what I also want to do is to install a separate network, which will end up being behind the router. And so what you can do is just create a OVS bridge. But when you try to so we create the OVS bridge. We have to give it like a separate. You have to give it a separate IP address, which is different from the main network. And you don't want to give it a gateway. If you try and do that, it'll come up with an error. And so this is one thing I've found, is that if you try and you wish it would tell you this like before you actually did, try to set it up, but I suppose that's just how they've coded it. So this package, what you have to do is you have to SSH in, and you just have to install it. Now, of course, you think that it would be installed by default, since it is actually in the I forgot you have to do apt update first, so that it downloads all of the repository information. But you think if it's in something you can select on the interface, you think that they would actually have it already installed as the default. I suppose maybe they're doing it just to sort of test. Right, so that's created. So what that does is it creates a sort of a bridge, and which is sort of, this is Open vSwitch, so you get an Open vSwitch bridge which is separate from the main one. But you notice actually isn't active. So what you have to do is, as you see here, it says you need to reboot, so it can actually create that create that bridge interface. So if you just click reboot, can we just see the progress. So that boots up pretty quick. Right, so you see now that the OVS bridge is actually active. So now we can actually go ahead and create that virtual machine again. And one thing you notice though is that it will only allow you to create one interface at the beginning. Right, so the main network is the sort of VM bridge 0. So we have that as because we want that as the first interface, so we make sure that's set up, and let me just confirm that. But we don't want to start after create, because then it'll start with only one interface. So once it's finished, if we then go to this one. Yeah, so if you go here and then basically this is the hardware for it, and so you've got this network interface, and we just want to add another one. So this one's connected to the BR1, and then you can still use the model. We can use a VirtIO as well, just to save on the CPU, and just turn off the firewall, and then that's. So basically there, so we have the two interfaces now, which are going to be used as part of the router. So now basically we can why this one. I'm not sure why that one stopped. Right, so we've got our virtual machine ready, and so basically we just start it. And this is the thing, is that what I found is that if you so when you start it, so it's up, and if you go to the console, so you can see that there, but here's the thing I found is that if you try and install it from the console, if for some reason it doesn't connect properly to the yeah, that's right, the arrow keys don't work properly. So what I found is I had to actually go to the monitor and then actually connect it to, like, I'll give it a VNC connection, and you basically do that with this command, and what that does is it creates a VNC console, and it's on 15, so that's 5915. So we can connect to that from the over the network. Alright, yeah, I just realized it's actually on the network. It's not local. So the Proxmox server is local, but the actual Proxmox machine is on a different IP address. And you have to get used to that whenever you're using virtual machines. Right, so here we are inside. So this is the installer for the IPFire. And like I say, it's best to use VNC so that the arrow keys work, because for some reason that console is just messed up. Okay. Even though you don't need to accept it, but that's how it is. Right, let's just wait for it to install. Alright, so that's a pretty quick install. Okay, so just choose the keyboard that you want to use and then just what your location is. Yeah, that's another thing. For some reason they've done it so that you don't get any dots. So when you type here, whatever you type as the password is actually going in, but the arrow doesn't move. At first I thought there was a problem, but the password did actually work. Okay, so this is where we configure what interfaces we have. So because we've only got 2 interfaces, we're just going to go with green and red. But if you wanted like a DMZ, then you could choose sort of ones with more interfaces. And if you got multiple DMZ, you choose that one. But since I've only got 2, I'm just choosing green and red. And then we just assign which card goes to which interface. So the red interface is the outside one. So basically the one that's outside we chose as the first interface. So if we go to hardware, you see that net 0, the MAC address is 7E. So this 7E1, we choose that as red, because that's going to be connected, that one's connected to like the main network, which you would just say is like the internet. And then for the green, just choose the other one. So that's supposed to be the safe network. Then we just need to give it an IP address. So since red is on our like internet network, we have to give it like a local address like our normal machine. And the green one, we just give it an address, which is in the range. Yeah, so basically it's in the range that we've given to the main, our main network. So as you can see, the internal network. So the IP address of this network is 192.168.20.1. So we need to give it something within that range. So that's the interface is done, and we just give it a DNS and just choose the one which is on the main network. And default gateway, which is on the main network as well. Of course, if this was on the internet, this is whatever address your ISP gives you. So they would give you the information you have to put in here. And so that's it for now. And so this is just to enable DHCP for that local network. And of course we have this on that internal network, this machine is the local, is the DNS for it. Right, so that's that setup, and so we could log into it here, but the one problem we have is that the web interface is actually on this local network, and the problem we have is that this network is actually hidden from us inside the virtual machine. So to get to it, we need to have some sort of way of getting sort of out of that. Yeah, so sort of getting the connection sort of out of that that hidden network. So what I'm going to do is so basically that's the IPFire installed, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to show how to do this next part of actually sort of configuring the actual firewall in the next part. When I'm actually going to be trying to set up the VPN. Alright, so if you want to see how to actually configure the IPFire from the web interface, then you can just see me in the next video. Okay, see you.